Hello, good evening and welcome to Prime Business. Coming up, manufacturers join call on government to address cedi depreciation as industries struggle to survive with cost of input.
Many of the manufacturers are facing issues on sustainability, on whether they will be able to sustain the cost of the high cost of manufacturing as well as even be alive.
Still on the cedi depreciation, players in the microcredit sector urge government to institute a price control mechanism that will regulate pricing of dollars to the public and businesses.
It's a need for the government to put a policy framework to stop the Forest Bureau from selling to the general public. There must be a policy framework to make sure all the Forest Bureau sell to the Bank of Ghana.
And the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, demands a firm assurance and action from government over rising import duty at the ports after calling off strike. We'll hear more.
It has been going up so far as the exchange rate is also going up. So at least if they fix it for us, it means that the duties that we pay are going to be stabilized, and that will also mitigate some of the problems.
I am Beverly Broohm. We have more coming up. Do stay with us. Thanks for choosing us. Now, the Association of Ghana Industries is calling on the managers of the Ghanaian economy to address issues confronting the fast depreciating nature of the Ghana cedi to other foreign currencies. According to Vice President in charge of large manufacturing, Ashok Mohinani, cost of input is affecting the sustainability of the local manufacturing industries. He spoke to Joy Business at the AGI Business Forum.
Ashok Mohinani bemoaned how authorities are not communicating with Ghanaians on the cause of the fast depreciation of the Ghanaian cedi and the way forward. He maintained that swift action needs to be taken to save the cedi before most industries collapse.
At the moment, there's quite a lot of speculation. I think the biggest issue is the currency. I believe it's crossed over. We're nearly touching 15. And I think probably more communication on what is happening would be helpful. A lot of the input costs have gone up. And many of the manufacturers are facing issues on sustainability, be able to sustain the cost of the high cost of manufacturing as well as even be alive. So that's a real concern. Today, there was a clear communication on agriculture project policy, and I think that communication will slow down or help on what exactly is happening, on the currency side. That will help calm nerves.
Speaking on the agricultural sector, he stated that more investment should be done to expand the sector.
Agriculture, and because cocoa is sort of managed by Ministry of Agriculture and Cocoa Board, my sort of know-how and knowledge is from private sector industries. So I would know what's happening in the cocoa processing industries, i.e., the chocolate area. For those who are exporting, obviously, with the currency rate the way it is, it's far more beneficial to them. But the importers, which we are a net importing country, a lot of the inputs for other manufacturers are imported, and that is where there's a lot of issues and concerns on high output and how you can pass those costs on. As far as the actual cocoa season and, higher output.
The AGI Business Forum was under the theme Resuscitating Ghanaian Industries to address the current economic challenges, the trend and the way forward. James Echen's report for Joy Business.
Meanwhile, players in the microcredit sector are urging the government as a short-term measure to institute a price control mechanism that will regulate the pricing of dollars to the public and businesses. Godfrey Glucker is the chief executive of Synergy Funds and has been speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of the 13th annual general meeting of Microcredit Association of Ghana. The players in the microcredit sector want swift action from the government and the Bank of Ghana to save the cedi from further depreciation. Chief Executive of Synergy Funds, Godfrey Glucker, tells Joy Business swift policies from the government and the Bank of Ghana will help control the pricing of forex and help stabilize the economy.
The microfinance sector is a backbone of the Ghanaian economy because basically we impact the less vulnerable in the communities. The market women, we try to give them loans to bring their businesses up. But currently there are some few challenges that they are also facing because of the increase in prices every now and then. So basically what is happening is that they go to the market today, tomorrow the price has changed, and the kind of money they need to buy the goods has doubled. So obviously it's affecting our business, and their repayment is also being affected. There is a need for the government to put a policy framework to stop the Forest Bureau from selling to the general public. There must be a policy framework to make sure all the Forest Bureaus sell to the Bank of Ghana or the banks at a control price.
Chairman of the Microcredit Association of Ghana, Wilberforce Asari, also told Joy Business members of the association are building synergies for sustainable growth. This, he believes, will help reduce the pressures as a result of the economic challenges on them.
We are tapping on the advantages or benefits of each member so that we can all build the association together. And that is what we do. We started in 2010. We registered in 2010. It's about 12 years. But as you heard them, MCAC, by God's grace, is doing very well. Doing very well in the sector. And we believe with this theme and the support we are getting, and even finance, you heard our finance, all these things will help us to grow stronger and stronger.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is demanding an action from government and the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority over what they describe as unfair high import charges at Ghana's port. According to the president of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, the situation, which has been compounded by the free fall of the cedi, is making businesses unbearable at the port. He told Joy Business government must act now.
And that's our meeting with the Ministry of Trade and the Deputy Minister of Finance and then Commissioner General on Friday last week. This issue came, and then they pledged that they promised to do this for us, for which we are very grateful. But we want firm assurances. We want to see it working, and that's what make us keep talking about it. Otherwise, they've told us, but we are waiting that it is published and we know the figures, and then we are convinced that everything is on board. Duties have been going up. So far as the exchange rate is also going up. So at least if they fix it for us, it means that the duties that we pay are going to be stabilized. And that will also mitigate some of the problems that the numerous problems that we have. And that will take some of the stress for us. Yeah.
Moving on, the Ghana Shippers Authority has advised importers to plan their imports and put in urgency measures to avoid high cost of demurrage. This, according to the authority, will ease the high cost of doing business at the ports. Speaking to Joy Business, Head of Freights and Logistics at the authority, Fred Esiedudate, underscored the fact that demurrage is avoidable and could affect profitability. Hence, importers must be proactive.
The seminar brought together participants from the business community, trade associations, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, and other agencies in the maritime industry. Fred Esiedudate explained the impact of planning on demurrage.
Planning is very important. I mean, if you're bringing in goods, you would understand that depending on the point from which the goods are coming, you have a fair idea how long it's going to take to arrive. Okay? So once your goods have set off from the port of loading, it is important that you begin to take steps in terms of how to get the goods cleared. Number two, currently with the ICOM system, there's a model that allows for pre-arrival declaration. So some initial action could already be put in place before the arrival of the goods. All of that feeds into planning. And that is why we think planning is a significant issue when it comes to the issue of how to avoid demurrage.
He noted that the seminar was intended to elicit factors that result in incurring demurrage and how to avoid same in a way to reduce the cost of doing business.
But of course, there are other issues. We are also advocating to shippers that it is not proper to let your goods come here and then let them go on demurrage before you follow up with a shipping line and request for extra time. If you know that for some specific circumstance you would require more days than the allowed days, then you will need to apply for those more days from the port of loading. Okay? So once it's approved at the other side and then the goods come, you have the flexibility to operate within those additional days. Okay? And then also, again, talking about planning, what is important is that when goods come, you definitely have to pay your duties. And so as soon as you have imported goods and you're coming, you need to take steps to look for money.
Importers were urged to work within their capital to ensure that they do not incur cost. James Ishen's report for Joy Business.
Away from that, government through the Ministry of Trade and Industry has facilitated the construction of a common user facility factory for the processing of maize in the Ashanti region. With support from the African Development Bank, the factory is expected to add value to common farm produce for the farmers and later sold to the market or for export. Speaking to journalists after an official ceremony to open the factory, Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Tremanting, explains that this falls within the concept of the One District, One Factory initiative, hence government's resolve to see it becoming successful. Here's a report.
The 1D1F Common User Facility is a farmer-owned agro-industrial processing established with the seed funding from the Ministry of Trade and Industry under the Rural Enterprises Program. The concept was conceived in 2017, following policy direction by the ministry to realign the Rural Enterprises Program to be consistent with the government of Ghana's industrial transformation agenda. The model seeks to enhance the ability of farmers and other agricultural value chain actors with little or no financial capacity to establish their own facilities to process their farm products. The Minister for Trade and Industry is confident that the facility will improve earnings for the farmers.
So it means that they will be supplying raw material or maize to their own processing plant, and when they bring it to the processing plant, they will be paid for whatever they bring, just as they would have if they were sending it to any other processing plant. But the beauty of this is that because they own the processing plant, it means that apart from being paid for whatever they supply to the factory, to their own factory, they would also earn the dividends when the raw material is processed into higher value added commerce. So this is a breakthrough model for enhancing the profitability or value addition for farmers.
Country manager for the African Development Bank, Jerusalem Fasika, told Joy Business that the bank believes the industrialization idea of the government, hence its support for the initiative.
It's a program that will be enhancing, the maize productivity by value addition is an important area that we are, looking at in an agriculture sector. Also, the job creation aspects, especially, for the young people. This facility will be employing a number of young people, women, by creating the very needed job.
The Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Tremanting, also inaugurated the 10-member board of the factory to be chaired by one of the farmers nominated by farmer-based organizations.
Now, Minister for Tourism, Creative Arts and Culture, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, has revealed that plans are underway by government to establish the Grains Development Authority to give farmers guaranteed prices. Speaking at the climax of this year's Combine Festival, by the chiefs and people of the Lora traditional area, Dr. Mahmoud Awal said the establishment of the authority will reduce post-harvest losses. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Lora.
For 3 years, the Kobine Festival has been on hiatus due to the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic. During the lull, the sound of this flute, known locally here as Hore, has never been heard anywhere in the traditional area. When it does, it signifies the return of the Kobine Festival and brought excitement and splendor. Kobine is celebrated by the chiefs and people of the Lora traditional area to give thanks to God and their ancestors for successful end of the farming season and in expectation of a good harvest. Minister for Tourism, Creative Arts and Culture, Dr. Ibrahim Mohamed Awal, who represented President Akufo-Addo, revealed that plans are far afoot by the government to establish Grains Development Authority aimed at giving guaranteed prices for farmers.
Government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, is establishing the Grains Development Authority. The Grains Authority will be like the Cocoa Board. It will guarantee prices for our grains. So there will no more be post-harvest losses within the grain sector, as the government would guarantee and buy the grains that we produce here, store them in the warehouse that have been set up in the Upper West, and make the farmer better off. So the farmer would have guaranteed prices. All your produce in terms of grains will be bought and preserved for the lean season.
Dr. Awal also spoke of plans to give a facelift to some tourist sites in the region.
The crocodile pond at Erimo, the Breford Water Spring, and the place where Kwame Nkrumah was detained just around the neighborhood. We want to work with the regional minister and the chiefs to develop these tourism attractions. Tourism employs 2 out of every 10 people in this country. We think when we develop the tourist sites, they not only create jobs for the people, they also bring wealth and prosperity to the people of Lora and the Upper West region.
Vice President of the National House of Chiefs, Napo Wedekabo III, who also doubles as the paramount chief of the Lora traditional area, commended the government for the introduction of pro programs such as the Planting for Food and Jobs and the fertilizer subsidy. Napo Wedekabo, however, stated that agricultural production is under threat due to climate change.
The current climate change data on the northern ecological zone of the country, of which Lora is part, paints a very frightening and dire situation for the present and future agricultural productivity and hence food security. These, together with the rising cost of farm labor, call for immediate and concerted action by all stakeholders to respond to the challenges posed by the climate change. A sustainable approach to tackling the negative impact of climate change on our agriculture is to raise the environmental consciousness of our people through aggressive, sustained sensitization of the people on the negative impact of climate change and introduce smart agricultural practices.
Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Sali assured the people of the government's commitment to constructing the Dike Bridge and the Kamba Dam.
Contractors working on the Dike Bridge will soon resume work. Let me also announce that contract on the work on the Kamba Dam has been awarded to Mahum's Construction, and they will also commence work very soon.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Lora.
Public procurement authorities committed to ensure that all institutions adhere to procurement laws. Speaking to Joy Business at the handing over ceremony of the Ghana Institute of Public Procurement and Supply, Chief Executive Officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Mr. Frank Mante, noted that his outfit is organizing training programs for heads of institutions to bring them up to speed on the requirements of the law and the need to ensure proper procurement procedures.
The Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply is the governing body of procurement professionals in Ghana. The association, which has been in existence since 1981, witnessed swearing in of new leaders to mark the beginning of a new dawn. Speaking to Joy Business at the handing over ceremony of the Ghana Institute of Public Procurement and Supply, Chief Executive Officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Mr. Frank Mante, noted that his outfit is organizing training programs for heads of institutions to bring them up to speed on the requirements of the law and the need to ensure proper procurement procedures.
PPA as an institution have already said that we are supposed to build the capacity of actors within the procurement space. Procurement officers, heads of entities, so for example, a head of entity, he will be responsible for ensure compliance with the law. So for when I say head of entity, I mean a CEO, Director General. Any infractions as far as the Procurement Act is concerned, they are expected to be held responsible and accountable for that. So we focus on building their capacities as well. Again, building the capacity of the private sector, so suppliers, contractors, consultants. We've been organizing training sessions. This week alone, I've been in 2 training sessions where I facilitated myself, just so that we're able to bring them up to speed with respect to the requirements of the law.
Elaborating on the need to pass the procurement bill, the newly sworn-in president of the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply, Simon Annan, said the bill will sanitize the procurement space by ensuring certification of professionals.
The procurement bill, which is at the drafting stage, will soon be moved to Parliament for Parliament to help us pass it. And when that bill is passed, then it will help us to curb some of these infractions. I will call them infractions because when you look at the Director General's report, there are a lot of procurement infractions. Some of them are not really corruption, but the procedural or administrative errors. And this calls for an institute which is backed by the act or the law and ensuring that the members are well trained, well certified, and well capacitated to understand some of these administrative errors and be able to correct it.
On the role of procurement in facilitating trade and local inclusion in Ghana's industrialization agenda, Head of Department of Management Science at the Gimpa Business School, Professor Ebenezer Adako, called for a deliberate policy to source raw materials from local producers to boost small and medium-scale businesses in the country.
If AFTA is going to really work or is going to survive, it all depends on how the professional body like Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply, how they organize themselves and ensure that they source from the African continent. They are the forefront of buying or forefront of purchasing. They can choose to buy or source from outside of the continent. If they do so, they are supporting the supply chain base of other industries. And it is going to hurt us as Africa.
Going president of the Institute, Collins Ajiman Sapon, congratulated the new executives and called on them to train the youth and upcoming procurement professionals on the need to uphold the ethics of the profession.
Procurement supply, is the highest when it comes to the student population. And therefore, there's the need for us to also focus on the youth, the new graduates, so that we mentor them, build them, because we need to cut them young, develop them, push to them the ethical behavior and how we practice our procurement across. That's one thing that I will pray that the current executive will also push.
The new executives have been charged to ensure the passage of the procurement bill.
And that's how we end business tonight. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Beverly Broohm, and I leave you with news making headlines on the international front.